3, 2, 1.
Okay, so when you start doing wooden dummy, okay, the way I like teaching it is there are a lot of things you need to break down that is considered difficult or harder when learning wooden dummy, so that it makes it easier for the student to understand. The question is, when you're doing, for example, if I was to go into Bong Sao, and here I'm stepping into Tang Da of the wooden dummy, would it be the same as, would it be the same kind of stepping or the footwork as if I was going to Bong Sao and maybe Ho Pa? Okay, so one thing you have to know, and of course I think the part B was whether you're stepping into that position or are you more sticking to the dummy. If you're sticking to the, sometimes you're gonna make a decision. Here's what I do personally. I don't know about other seafoods. I don't even care about sometimes how we do it in the Muay Thai, to be honest. My thing is this: there are times when it's real cool to learn how to do the wooden dummy form and stick to the arms of the dummy, stick to the smaller movements, that kind of thing. It's cool. And then there's other times you should practice it as in you're stepping out and into the dummy. You're a non-sticking type of person with the dummy. I will explain that and show y'all in a minute. So first off, let's just get the footwork, okay? So Maai Jong is going to be one of your main cornerstones of the footwork when you're doing with the wooden dummy. Okay, so the idea of what a traditional Maai Jong is a lot of times, even if we're facing the opponent, we have shifted with our feet. We're at a 45 here. This is your Chun Q idea. So the same when you will go here, for example, all the way over here, and you have your palms upward as you're lowering an attack. Now you're coming through, shifting 45, and there's that bong and woo. That same shift right here is the start of Maai Jong. It's a life-saving step. It gets you out of line of the opponent, so then you can go back into the opponent. And that's another reason why with the wooden dummy, I say there's going to be points where you have to non-stick, because there's not going to be too many cases where when you're dealing with an opponent, you're going to end up sticking with the opponent the whole entire way. You may not have that opportunity where you can bong just a step and stick to an opponent like that. In true combat, it may not happen. And as far as like street fighters, the way the martial arts community is acting now with the UFC, MMA type structures, or these other martial arts schools. If you're staying on the way the world is seeing combat now, you're not going to do any much sticking to an opponent. Now, if we're talking about Tai Chi Chuan, Xing Yi, Baguodong, if we're talking about the classic, not just traditional martial arts, but the classics, there may be a chance you'll stick to your opponent then. Being honest. So right here, like I said, you face the opponent, you have this 45 shift, you're stepping towards the direction of the 45 just to turn in to the opponent. or in even this case, the dummy. Realize what I just did. I'm actually breaking down how you do Maai Song Jong too. So I may even cut this video and have this part, like how do you step into Maai Song Jong as far as Wing Chun's concerned. So here, I do my 45. I'm stepping into the direction of the 45 to turn into the opponent, the dummy, whomever, right? Realize that when you're doing, for example, Tanda with the Jing Gurk in the wooden dummy, that kick is the end to Maai Song Jong. Footwork is a kick, kicking is footwork. They are interchangeable. So if I was going to do that part, and I was doing Maai Song Jong in that case, I have my shift, right? Have my shift, I step, there goes my movement. That's still Maai Song Jong. The person who I'm kicking becomes the floor, and I am stabilized or balanced in my footwork. Okay? To a lot of you who don't do Wing Chun, that makes no sense. If you was in Kempo Karate, if you was in Wing Chun, if you was in some of the other classes of karate and other systems, there's a few systems that will know what I'm saying when I say kicking is footwork and footwork is kicking. That is a Chun Fa and or Kempo related mantra of understanding. There's universal law where no matter what martial art you're into, everybody understands because it is a law that we follow. It's like no other choice. It doesn't matter what martial art you go into. So now we're going to concentrate on, I'm going to show you this with the dummy so we can make this make sense. So now we're here at the dummy, okay? It doesn't matter which way I go because the same rule is going to apply with this Maai Song Jong step. That's where the big problem is when people are worried about stepping around or whatever. And then I'll show you from another angle and then this will all come together real nicely. So if I go bone, really my footwork is more important, so pay attention to that. I'm stepping to Tanda here. If I decided to stick, it's not going to look like that. It's going to look more like this. It's going to be even tighter, but did I do my Song Jong footwork? Yes. I went here and I just went here. It was really a little bit more tight and the arm stayed with my arm. This arm here. Does that make sense? So which one's correct? Both are correct. If a Sifu from another lineage was to say one's correct versus the other, another Sifu in another lineage is going to say, well, sticking to it is more correct, or non-sticking is more correct. So if you know me, if the people out here know who I am, they would know that sometimes I would like to see someone stick to the dummy versus do not stick to the dummy. Right? Now, when you do the Maai Song Jong with the kick, you can't stick to the dummy. You kind of gotta let the leg be free. And even if you do this, see how I can't, remember we had another video talking about doesn't matter if we touch or not, and I told you it depends on how you kick even here, right? So that's the end of Maai Song Jong right there with that kick. Right here, here, or even here to the main base of the dummy. Either way, I couldn't touch, so there was no way to stick. So if you kind of put this video and then the last video about does it matter if I touch the dummy or not, then you kind of really have your answer, at least on that sense. If we're talking about pole pie, you can stick and do this movement, or detach to come back in, disconnect to come back in. Does that make sense? Either way, you're gonna have to do my Song Jong step. So let me show you at a different angle and then let's be done. So remember what I'm saying. I'm absolutely facing forward here. That bone size right here, right? I'm shifting, and then I can either one step out to step in, and there goes my pole pie. For example, I could do the same thing with turned off. Here, here. Versus if I decide to stick, right? Here, here. If you could tell I stuck the roll, that's the only sound you heard. Versus non-stick, right? Or you could do the same thing sticking with pole pie. Here, there. You can hear the whole thing shifting because I did that. Did I use my Song Jong in both instances? Yes, I did. So there's really your answer. I'm gonna go back, make sure everything looks good in this video, because the last video that looked like this, it kind of shook, for example. But if it doesn't, then I'll come back and re-record. Okay? But thank you so much. What's the main point of view? My Song Jong, and have times when you learn how to stick to the dummy more versus do not stick to the dummy. Get a feel for both. Last but not least, I like to dedicate this to Master Randy K. La. Master Randy K. La, give him his credit, Grandmaster Randy K. La. He was my example where he was like, well, you should try both this way and this other way. He wanted me to have more of an open mind. If this was Ho Kim Ming lineage, there ain't too much of an open mind. You did what you was told. But I like the fact that Randy K. La gave me a chance and a different mindset to be able to do things kind of different. I respect that, man. Rest in peace, or rest in power, Master Randy K. La.